The King's Avatar, Chapter 1449, Preventing Sneak Attacks. Audio source, WuXiaWorldAudiobook.com. Chapter 1449, Preventing Sneak Attacks. Translator, Gnome Yummy. Editor, Gnome Yummy. Underneath the giant locust tree, Flowing Cloud held the great sword Flame Shadow in his hands and stood motionless, directly facing the trunk of the locust tree. Boundless Sea had his back against the locust tree and stood motionless too. The battle seemed to have frozen. No one knew what would come next. The two players were very close to each other. If either character breathed, the opponent might be able to hear in this silent forest. Boundless Sea, with his back against the locust tree, quietly crouched down. Let alone sneak attacks, just trying to circle around the tree to the left or right would be difficult. Lu Hanwen had fast reaction speeds and played quickly too. He was on guard against these two directions. Sea head, chop head. Sea hand, chop hand. Sea foot, chop foot. The battle had frozen, but the two players were thinking non-stop. Feng Rui was constantly looking around, observing everything in front of him. He was searching for a tree to use as cover to escape. A bit difficult, Feng Rui thought. He didn't have a better choice though. It would be easier to run than approach from the left or right. If he tried that approach, Lu Hanwen would definitely steal away the initiative. Feng Rui began to move. First Boundless Sea crouched down. Then, he gently turned 180 degrees and started to retreat one step at a time. Feng Rui didn't choose to roll. He didn't dare let his line of sight leave the tree in front of him. No signs of movement from the left or right. What is he waiting for? Feng Rui didn't know, but he had made his decision and he would stick with it. Boundless Sea continued to retreat. Suddenly, several figures flickered from behind the tree. 6 flowing clouds rushed out. Shadow step. It could only be shadow step. 6 shadows. Lu Hanwen controlled them adeptly such that Feng Rui wasn't able to tell which one was real. Unable to continue retreating, he could only fight. Fortunately, Feng Rui had Boundless Sea retreat backwards, so his line of sight had been fixed in this direction. In the end, he wasn't caught off guard. Landmine, quake. Boundless Sea slammed the ground. The shockwave would reach all 6 shadows. He wanted to fish out the real one. But all 6 shadows leapt up at the same time, dodging the chi attack. Falling light blade. 6 swords crashed down with a silver light as if forming a sword formation. Boundless Sea didn't dodge and crashed into one of the light blades. Did he see through it? Pan Lin cried out. Probably not. Li Yibo replied. He wanted to say more, but he didn't have time. The 6 swords and 6 flowing clouds all moved towards Boundless Sea. 6 swords, 5 fake. But if Boundless Sea continued to brashly charge through the attacks, all 60 swords would hit, which would mean the real one would hit. Falling light blade guaranteed a knockdown. Although the knockdown could be quick recovered, Lu Hanwen could react to it and continue with follow-ups. Chi wave shield. Boundless Sea waved his hands and a wave of chi condensed into a shield. This, Pan Lin didn't understand. Chi wave shield wasn't chi guard. It couldn't block attacks from every direction. If he used chi wave shield to block, it would at most block 2 swords. Genius. Li Yibo saw through it and shouted out. He didn't have time to explain though. Hit. Shockwaves from 6 falling light blades spread out. Even if 5 of the falling light blades were from fake shadows, the visual effect would still remain. Boundless Sea tumbled out in a direction. In the end, he had been hit by the real sword. But Boundless Sea immediately let out a palm. A chi bullet shot towards one of the flowing clouds. Was that the real body? It was. After Boundless Sea took the hit, he immediately figured out which of the 6 sword shadows was real from the direction he was hit in. If he just randomly chose a sword shadow to run into, the chances of getting hit by the real one is rather low. However, Lu Hanwen had all of the sword shadows switch directions. It can be seen that the one Boundless Sea chose before wasn't the real one. After that, although Chi Wave Shield could only block two, those two swords were the most difficult to deal with if they were real. In reality, neither of these two swords was the real one. The real one was among the remaining three. Feng Rui had eliminated three of them, allowing him to deal with the other three with more focus. He was eliminating each choice one by one. Li Yibo spoke quickly to explain Feng Rui's thought process in the short amount of time he had. Amazing. Pan Lin sighed. Feng Rui had considered so many things in just an instant. That was what it meant to be a top glory expert. Feng Rui was able to reset the situation with his series of reactions. Chi Blade. Boundless Sea/Tata Chi Blade. But in this dense fog, the skill's trajectory was extremely obvious, which was quite annoying for Feng Rui. Senior, I've said it before, but I've got good eyesight. Lu Hanwen saw it clearly. Flowing Cloud easily dodged it and continued his attack. Okay, I'll make sure to remember it, Feng Rui replied as Boundless Sea retreated back a few more steps. In the past, Feng Rui would have definitely tried to use the surrounding trees to hide in and then try for an ambush. However, Lu Hanwen's eyes and reaction speed were impressive. Feng Rui had experienced just how bad hiding behind a tree could be. He didn't plan on challenging Lu Hanwen in those two aspects. The current situation was unfavorable for him. Feng Rui understood this well. In this map, Lu Hanwen's eyes and reaction speed were powerful weapons and just happened to be the most effective against sneak attacks. It was extremely rare for the opponent to become aware of a sneak attack after the sneak attack landed. Usually, the sneak attack caught the opponent off guard. Glory wasn't army against army. In 1v1s, each player had complete control of their character. If you could react in time to a sneak attack, then the sneak attack would be meaningless. At the moment, thinking of a sneak attack was too early. Lu Hanwen was too close to him. The two sides looked to be falling into the pace for a direct battle. This wasn't Feng Rui's style as a master of playing dirty. In other words, a direct battle wasn't a style he was proficient in. As for Lu Hanwen, don't look at how he was still young. He was the attacker in Team Blue Rain and a first-class expert in face-to-face combat. In addition to his personality and energy, face-to-face combat was one of his biggest strengths. Senior, watch my sword. When Lu Hanwen slashed downwards, he also typed out a challenge in the chat. In the beginning, people were worried. If this continued, would this kid become like Huang Xiaoshan and talk non-stop while fighting? But after 2 years, everyone understood. Lu Hanwen sometimes talked because he had so much energy that he needed somewhere to direct it to. His hands felt uncomfortable not moving fast, so he typed to make up for it. It seemed like he was wasting his efforts, but this kid had endless energy. A bit of wasted energy wasn't a problem, so no one criticized it. An oppressive wind blew from Flame Shadow. The dense fog rumbled as the sword moved, and the flow of the game began to change. Feng Rui was gradually being suppressed. He didn't hold the advantage in this sort of fight. He was used to taking advantage of the terrain, but because of Lu Hanwen's eyes and reaction speed, he couldn't do that. Little demon, don't be too arrogant. Feng Rui spoke. Senior, please advise me, Lu Hanwen said. Who knew if he was being sincere or being sarcastic? Okay, little kid, I'll teach you a lesson, Feng Rui said. Boundless Sea suddenly leaned to the side and let out a palm. Spiral Chi Kill. Boom. The distance was too close. Lu Hanwen wasn't able to dodge it. However, in order to land this attack, his Boundless Sea was hit by a downwind sword slash. Boundless Sea was covered in blood. Flowing Cloud was covered in violent chi. The audience was dumbstruck. This was the lesson Feng Rui was giving to Lu Hanwen? What was this? Wasn't he just brute force trading? Trades happened all the time in pro matches, but everyone always did it cautiously, calculating who would come out on top. These trades weren't just for health but more importantly, to create opportunities for follow-ups. But Boundless Sea's trade? WuxaWorldAudio.com. That was just purely you hit, I hit. There was no change in the flow of the battle. Whatever it was before was the same after. How stupid. Fang Rui really was dirty. The crowd booed. After Flowing Cloud was hit by Spiral Chi kill, he quickly rushed back. As for Boundless Sea, because of the downwind sword slash, he was stunned for a certain amount of time and couldn't immediately react. This was the reason why everyone thought the trade was stupid. If the trade had allowed Fang Rui to push Lu Hanwen away, then Fang Rui could have created more room for him to maneuver around dirtily. That would be a meaningful trade. But because he was hit by downwind sword slash, this trade was completely pointless. Triple slash. Flowing Cloud used this skill to approach. The Great Sword triple slash was ferocious and threatening. By the time Flowing Cloud reached Boundless Sea had just gotten out of the stun. Roll. Boundless Sea immediately rolled to dodge the third triple slash. Falling Blossom form. Lu Hanwen's offense was extremely fast. Flowing Cloud pressed down on the rolling Boundless Sea. Knockdown. Falling Blossom form forced the knockdown. Boundless Sea was now lying flat on the ground. Falling Phoenix slash. Usually, a rising dragon slash would follow. Lu Hanwen used it on the ground. Flowing Cloud twisted his body. His sword drew an arc across the ground, rising in the air, and then falling down. Boom. A powerful surging chi appeared in front of Flowing Cloud. Dragon Wave. The surging chi pushed Flowing Cloud, sending him flying into a tree. How? Lu Hanwen was surprised. Falling Blossom form forced a knockdown and could not be quick recovered, so Boundless Sea shouldn't have had the time to cast the skill. Could it be the Falling Blossom form had missed? Lu Hanwen recalled that instant, calculating how much health Boundless Sea should have. However, Pan Lin and Li Yibo saw it more clearly through their spectator view. Fuck, how despicable. He pretended to get hit. I've never seen that before. The commentary criticized him, and
The King's Avatar, Chapter 1450, A Dirty Attitude. Audio source, WuxaWorldAudiobook.com. Chapter 1450, A Dirty Attitude. Pretending to get hit. Everyone was taken aback. There were only things people couldn't think of. There was nothing Fang Rui couldn't do. His genius went below everyone's bottom line. But then again, successfully tricking someone in a pro match was not an easy task. When an attack missed, pro players could feel it intuitively. Health loss was also not something that could be faked. Lu Hanwen must have overlooked both of these points for Fang Rui's trick to succeed. Lu Hanwen had 2 years of experience as a main roster player. He had far more experience than most second-year rookies, yet Fang Rui dared to cheat the kid. It succeeded too, and not without reason. Lu Hanwen had been focused on Boundless Sea's movements. He hadn't been paying attention to Boundless Sea's health. It had been a tense moment, and his offense had been quick. Falling Blossom form had extremely high priority too. Just getting grazed was enough to knock the opponent down, so the feeling of landing the hit was difficult to notice. Lu Hanwen had been trying to speed up the tempo and had indeed been a bit negligent. These reasons showed that Fang Rui wasn't just playing dirty for the sake of playing dirty. He was using his brain when making decisions. The damage dealt by Dragon Wave wasn't low. Everyone thought that given this opening, Fang Rui would have Boundless Sea run away. But to their surprise, Fang Rui had Boundless Sea follow up with another attack. Is Fang Rui really planning on fighting Lu Hanwen face to face? Pan Lin cried out. No one dared to guess what Fang Rui was thinking. Spiral Chi Rush. Boundless Sea appeared to be ready for a fight. Chi spiraled out of his hands as his character rushed forward fiercely towards Flowing Cloud. Flowing Cloud could use a skill like Falling Light Blade to change directions in the air, but Spiral Chi Rush had a wide AoE range. All possible paths using falling light blade were blocked by it. Falling Phoenix covered a longer distance, but Flowing Cloud had just used it and it was still on cooldown. Without any moment for delay, Lu Hanwen displayed his extraordinary reaction speed. Flowing Cloud stepped on the tree behind him and raised his greatsword up. Rising Dragon Slash. Flowing Cloud borrowed the height of the tree to leap up instead of fall down. Boom. Boundless Sea Spiral Chi Rush crashed into the tree. Leaves fluttered down as the entire tree shook violently. Boundless Sea had turned around. His hands were pressed together, accumulating chi. He waited until Flowing Cloud started descending after the Rising Dragon Slash before pushing his hands outward. Spirit reaches to the rainbow. The dense chi coming out from his two palms formed a bridge as it flew towards Flowing Cloud. Lu Hanwen knew that after dodging Spiral Chi Rush with Rising Dragon Slash, getting back to the ground wouldn't be so easy. As soon as he finished executing Rising Dragon Slash, Flowing Cloud swung his greatsword down. Falling Light Blade. In the end, Flowing Cloud used this move to rapidly descend from the sky. Fang Rui had predicted Lu Hanwen's reaction. He moved his mouse rapidly, causing the spirit reaches to the rainbow to curve downwards towards where Flowing Cloud would land. But Flowing Cloud dropped down and disappeared. Boom. The giant tree struck by Spiral Chi Rush had been shaken violently when it was hit again by the spirit reaches to the rainbow. When Flowing Cloud had used Falling Light Blade, he had controlled it to position him behind the tree. Although Fang Rui had adjusted his spirit reaches to the rainbow, he had no way of looping the chi around the tree. Before the attack could strike Flowing Cloud, it hit the tree. Crash. After being struck twice, the tree swayed even more violently. The sound of rustling leaves seemed to never stop. Fang Rui wasn't discouraged. He had Boundless Sea step to the side, ready to catch the falling Flowing Cloud. But when he looked from this new angle, he didn't see Flowing Cloud. How? Fang Rui was stunned. Flowing Cloud had landed behind the tree. How could he have disappeared? Was it magic? The audience members were able to see it. Pan Lin and Li Yibo were praising Lu Hanwen's cleverness. The Rising Dragon Slash was a setup for the Falling Light Blade, Li Yibo said. The angle of the Falling Light Blade was very precise. After hiding behind the tree, he cancelled the skill and pushed off the tree to change angles again. Blue Rain's playoffs seem to be interconnected with trees. Last round, Huang Shaoshan's troubling rain had lost half his health due to a tree. This round, Lu Hanwen's Flowing Cloud used the tree to escape from Fang Rui's follow-up. His move was clever and unexpected. Fang Rui didn't know how he had escaped. He was carefully exploring the terrain to try and figure out the secret behind Flowing Cloud's disappearance. When Boundless Sea took his next step, he was met with a sword. Meteor form. The sword came towards Fang Rui extremely fast, and he wasn't able to react in time. Blood blossomed in the air. Go 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 go. The crowd cheered. Fang Rui, the master of playing dirty, an expert at ambushes, had been ambushed by their own player. It was too exhilarating. Fang Rui had no way of dodging the attack, but he had time to respond after getting hit. Borrowing the force of the blow, Boundless Sea slid back, but Swordlight was already in pursuit. Sword draw. After the Max Meteor form, a low-level sword draw followed. Both these attacks were extremely fast. The two Swordlights intertwined, almost as if the two attacks were a single skill. He's using a greatsword too. Li Yibo liked to remind everyone that Lu Hanwen's Flowing Cloud wielded a greatsword. If he was using a Tachi or a lightsaber instead, just how fast would it be? Fang Rui couldn't dodge this follow-up either. A streak of blood flew into the air when the sword light hit. Boundless C stumbled backwards. Had he lost his balance? No. He was faking it. This time, the director saw through it. The moment Boundless C began to stumble backwards, chi had begun to circulate around his hands, which then quietly swung outwards. Chi blade. He used a chi blade at this distance. Lu Hanwen had been chasing after Fang Rui, when he saw the dense fog bundle together and fly towards him. He immediately rolled to the side. Downwards chi flow. The stumbling Boundless C suddenly jumped into the air. With his palms directed towards the ground, chi crashed towards Flowing Cloud like a waterfall. Flowing Cloud, who was mid-roll, slashed across with his sword. Sky Plunging Blade. The skill came out as Flowing Cloud stood back up. Boom. The turbulent chi slammed into Flowing Cloud, but at the same time, his bright sword light tore through the sky and struck Boundless C. Flowing Cloud wasn't able to stay standing after getting struck by the force of downwards chi flow. WuxaWorldAudio.com. On the other hand, Boundless C was knocked down by the Sky Plunging Blade and rolled twice to negate the momentum. The two characters were both injured, but after taking each other's attacks, they stood back up and continued to fight. Fang Rui didn't run, but his playstyle. Pan Lin said, "Playing dirty doesn't just mean scurrying around and guerrilla warfare." Li Yibo said, "Yes." Pan Lin nodded his head. The dirty playstyle encompassed many styles. It was similar to direct fights, there were many ways of going about it. The dirty playstyle had many paths branching off from it. Fang Rui and Lu Hanwen fought. Pretending to be hit, pretending to lose balance and then retaliating were undoubtedly extremely dirty moves. Playing dirty wasn't a technique, but a mindset. And for Fang Rui, as the representative of the style, it didn't matter if he fought face-to-face or indirectly, all of them contained an air of dirtiness. In this map, Lu Hanwen's acute perception and reaction speed were effective against the usual dirty playstyle. As a result, Fang Rui fought directly against Lu Hanwen, showing off his creativity in this battle. Pretending to fall down, pretending to be off balance. No one knew what other surprising tricks this guy had in store. Fang Rui isn't really utilizing the features of this map, making it so that Lu Hanwen's exceptional eyesight and reaction speed aren't as useful, Pan Lin said. But by not using the terrain, Fang Rui's capabilities are also restricted. Li Yibo said, "It's evenly matched." Pan Lin sighed. Yes, evenly matched. Both sides had found their own rhythm and were in their peak competitive states. Both sides were going all out, using all the tricks they had at their disposal. The two went back and forth trading blow after blow. The only outcome was damage dealt by both sides, with neither side garnering an advantage. When Lu Hanwen found an opportunity to attack, Fang Rui might retaliate with a weird trick. When Fang Rui tried to combo, Lu Hanwen would often neutralize it forcefully. Under these circumstances, Fang Rui's 74% starting health became a disadvantage that could not be erased. In the end, Lu Hanwen's Flowing Cloud was able to win with 23% of his health left. Blue Rain had taken back a point. It was now an even 3-3. However, of the two Blue Rain characters remaining, Flowing Cloud only had 23% of his health left, while Happy had two characters at full health. End chapter.
The King's Avatar, Chapter 1451. No Tactics. Audio source, WuxaWorldAudiobook.com. Chapter 1451. No Tactics. Fang Rui had barely exited the player booth when Tang Ru stood from her seat at Happy's bench. They had finally gotten to the playoffs stage, but Tang Ru didn't get a chance to fight at all in the first round. She was, naturally, extremely disappointed. She hadn't been a member of the team competition last round, but she was the anchor for the group arena. But Happy ended the group arena with their fourth player last round. Tang Ru had been eagerly anticipating a fight that night, yet had been no more than a spectator. Logically speaking, it would be better for Happy if Tang Ru, as the anchor, didn't get a chance to fight. That was something Happy would be happy about. Tang Ru naturally wasn't hoping that Happy did badly, she just wanted to fight. This round, Tang Ru was positioned fourth and finally got her chance. Without waiting for Feng Rui to come down, she was already charging up onto the stage. Little Tang is pretty much the antonym of Blue Rain's Zhengzan, Yishu exclaimed. Chen Guo paused for a moment in surprise before considering it again. That was true. Zhengzan's lack of motivation was infamous, always ready with a "how stressful" on his tongue. As for Tang Ru had the most motivation for competition. She loved a challenge and being under pressure. You think they'll go up against each other? Chen Guo was suddenly very interested in watching the two antonyms face off. Probably not, Yishu said. There's still another player on Blue Rain's side. Chen Guo exclaimed. Huang Shaoshan, Yishu reminded her. Oh yeah? Chen Guo slapped a hand on her forehead. She had forgotten. Blue Rain's Huang Shaoshan hadn't fought yet today. She was so used to Zhengzan having a set spot in the 1v1 matches. But today Blue Rain decided to try something new and gave Yu Wenzhou a spot in the group arena, and thus Zhengzan managed to get out of playing today. As for Blue Rain's anchor, that was definitely Huang Shaoshan. He was the coronace, after all. Happy's two, one heading on stage, the other coming off stage, met halfway. You're eager, aren't you? Feng Rui grinned. Tang Ru just smiled, not saying anything. That brat's a straightforward sort of guy, just close in directly and overwhelm him. Feng Rui said. Alright. Tang Ru nodded. Good luck. Feng Rui returned to Happy's player bench after giving his blessings. Though it was Blue Rain who had won, it was Happy's player coming back, so the applause was restrained. The wildest applause came from the west stands. That was where the Happy fans congregated, offering thunderous applause for Happy when they came on and off stage, no matter if they won or lost. Though Blue Rain had won a round just now, the Blue Rain fans were pretty solemn due to the overall situation not being in their favor. Young people nowadays sure are something, Feng Rui exclaimed, having returned to Happy's bench. When discussing Lu Hanwen, he obviously did have the right to act the veteran. Did you think you could defeat him easily? Yishu asked. Actually, I really did think so at first. I fought the brat a few times in these past 2 years, Feng Rui admitted. He's improving really fast, isn't he? Yishu said. He has a limitless future ahead of him. Feng Rui's expression was uncharacteristically serious. Chen Guo was listening in on the side, and after a good while, she turned her head to look at Feng Rui. So you mean to say your loss was reasonable? Ah, boss, you really know how to start a conversation. Feng Rui slapped his leg excitedly. Chen Guo rolled her eyes. She had thought it was weird that these two were suddenly feeling generous and nice enough to compliment their juniors. She should have expected that they were just shamelessly setting up a scenario to make this loss seem reasonable. Seems like Feng Rui was rather embarrassed at losing to this second-year rookie. Ha! Yishu laughed, sitting to the side, but afterwards, he said seriously. Boss, I think we should keep an eye on him. He'll become a powerful rival that Happy won't be able to shake off for 10 years. Like Han Wenqing, Chen Guo blurted out. Rivals of 10 years. Chen Guo, used to seeing things with one autumn leaf in mind, immediately thought of Han Wenqing and his desert dust. How? Yishu didn't agree. I destroyed him ages ago. It's him who can't avoid me. Hey, hold your horses. In Season 4, he destroyed you. Wei Chen couldn't help but interrupt. Ha! Everyone who walks by the river will get their shoes wet sometime, Yishu replied. This analogy, how come it sounded no less arrogant? Chen Guo was speechless. The reason why Happy's players had the energy to chat was because the match had yet to start. Although Tang Ru went up early, the break between each round was set. Tang Ru had already gotten up there, but now she still had to wait. After about half a minute, the battle between the fourth-position players on each side began. Tang Ru, having accumulated her aggression for so long, had full health. Soft Mist charged right out. Lu Hanwen, with flowing clouds only at 23% health, resolutely chose to play tactically after the match began. Lu Hanwen is planning on being tactical. Quote, from Pan Lin's tone, it was clear that this choice was rather surprising. With what Lu Hanwen had shown so far in terms of personality and play style, he was definitely not a tactical player. Plus, as a second-year rookie, could he really do tactics well? His opponent is Tang Ru, after all. Li Yibo's words cut through everyone's doubt. Although Lu Hanwen only had 2 years of experience, that was more than Tang Ru, who had only played one regular season and was in her first playoffs. Lu Hanwen wasn't a tactical player, but Tang Ru wasn't one either, no. Hoping for a battle of wits like what Yu Wenzhou and Yi Shu had from two brute force-style players wasn't realistic. Lu Hanwen's tactics might not be very methodical or deep, but Tang Ru was the same. His not-so-good tactics might just be enough here. They were both at the same level, so who knew? Speaking of, this is Tang Ru's first playoffs battle. Pan Lin brought up. You're right. She didn't get a chance to play last round, Li Yibo said. She doesn't seem nervous at all. She was so impatient coming up. Pan Lin laughed. Nervous? Think about it. She's the player who said she would 1v3, then faced all those accusations, yet could still play normally on stage. Think of what sort of mental fortitude she has. Li Yibo reminded the other. That's true. It seems like the usual problems that newbies would face won't be an issue here. Pan Lin said. Indeed. The problems Tang Ru faced never came from the environment. They were mostly self-focused, like her grasp of rhythm, her defensive ability, etc. WuxiaWorldAudio.com. Which we discussed in the regular season, Li Yibo added. That's right, we did discuss some of her problems in the regular season, but with each battle until now, I can see a clear improvement, Pan Lin commented. Now it's time to test these improvements, Li Yibo said. These two talked with a hint of pride, like it was they who had guided Tang Ru to where she stood now. Tang Ru has gone directly for the middle while Lu Hanwen's decided to head to his right, and thus circling to the map's west side. Pan Lin focused on the match and began to commentate. Tang Ru had charged quickly and Soft Mist soon arrived at the center of the map. She carefully looked around, but didn't see her opponent. Have you yet to arrive or are you circling around? Tang Ru asked in the chat. As expected of someone from Happy, who spent all her time with Yi Shu and the others. Tang Ru asked this question so reasonably and straightforwardly, as if she hadn't considered this to be a crucial match of the playoffs. There was no reason for an opponent to give you a straight answer to that sort of question. Lu Hanwen, that poor child, answered ever so honestly, I'm circling around. Which side? Tang Ru asked. The entire stadium was filled with whispering. Why did none of Happy's members care for these courtesies? They were all wondering. Guess. Lu Hanwen sent an emote with its tongue out, finally not being so honest anymore. Alright, then, I'll wait for you. Tang Ru replied, and then Soft Mist just stopped there, turning her head back and forth and observing her surroundings. Lu Hanwen was, naturally, very familiar with this map. Flowing clouds soon circled around to the central route's west flank before starting to carefully approach, using the forestry as cover. Finally, when he peeked out from behind a tree, he found Soft Mist. How should he strike? Seeing Soft Mist, who was turning her head back and forth, Lu Hanwen scratched his head. This really wasn't his forte. After thinking for about 5 seconds, Lu Hanwen made a decision. He'll ambush from behind, he thought to himself. So, he carefully watched Soft Mist turn her head around, and when she was facing away from his direction, Flowing Cloud darted out. Pan Lin was rendered speechless for a moment. After being given a top-tier dirty performance, Lu Hanwen's flowing cloud charging out like that just seemed so lacking. Pan Lin was too embarrassed to call it an ambush. Flowing cloud circles around to the west side and strikes. Quote. In the end, he summarized it with that. Offstage, Fang Rui was rolling on the ground with laughter as he gestured wildly towards Blue Rain's other players. Over on Blue Rain's side, Yu Wenzhou also changed the topic immediately when it was brought up. He didn't want to talk about Lu Hanwen's attempt at being tactical because there was nothing to talk about. Such a simple and direct ambush from behind. Those who would be caught off guard by that would only be the newest of newbies. Tang Ru wasn't a new anymore, and her mental fortitude was far greater than many veterans. Lu Hanwen's very simple sneak attack didn't do anything a sneak attack was meant to. Soft Mist immediately rolled to avoid it, and when she got up, she already had a counterattack at the ready. Lu Hanwen's tactics ended there. Clang, clang, clang. Their weapons slammed against one another. Everyone immediately felt much less awkward. This was how the juniors should be fighting. Direct and intense. Leave those sneaky, crafty tactics to those old men. Clang, clang, clang. The clash of weapons, the collision of skills. The terrain was non-existent and the map no longer had any effect. For two players like them, just them a small space and they could turn the world upside down with their battles. This was a battle purely of mechanics and skill. End chapter.